The stars shone bright against the endless black of space as the ECS horizon cut through the void. The ship was humanity's pride, the first vessel built specifically for deep space diplomacy. Inside the command center, Admiral Jack Freeman stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main screen with calm eyes that had seen 57 years of life. "We're approaching the coordinates, sir," said Lisa Harding, her fingers dancing across the communications console. At 32, she was the youngest senior officer on the bridge, but her skills with alien language patterns were unmatched. Captain William Carter nodded. "Slow to half speed. Let's not look too eager." The year was 2157. Humanity had spread to Mars and Europa, but had never met intelligent alien life. That was about to change. "Sir, I'm picking up a signal," Lisa said, her eyes widening. It's huge. Multiple vessels approaching." The bridge grew quiet. Engineer Susan Miller looked up from her station, pushing her red hair from her face. "Their energy readings are off the charts." The main screen flickered to life, showing a massive fleet of ships. They were unlike anything humans had designed, smooth and curved like liquid metal, glowing with purple energy. "Open communication channels," Admiral Freeman ordered. The alien face that appeared on the screen sent a chill through the crew. It had purple skin, 6 yellow eyes, and no visible mouth. Yet somehow, when it spoke, the words translated through the ship's systems. "I am Emperor Zorlth of the Salaxian Empire. You have entered our territory." Admiral Freeman stepped forward. "We come in peace. I am Admiral Jack Freeman of Earth. We seek friendship and knowledge." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Earth. We have no record of this world. We are new to deep space travel," Freeman explained. "Our civilization." "Primitive then," Zorlth interrupted. "And yet you dare to approach the heart of the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known." Tactical Officer Eric Johnson whispered to the Admiral, "Sir, they're scanning our weapons systems." Freeman frowned. "Emperor Zorlth, we have no hostile intentions. We merely—" Silence. The Emperor's voice was cold. "Your ship's technology is primitive. Your weapons are laughable. You are nothing." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. This was not how they had imagined first contact. "Emperor," Freeman tried again, "surely we can. I will show my commanders how we deal with lesser species who do not know their place." Zorlth turned to someone off-screen. "Destroy their vessel. Make it quick. I have more important matters to attend to." The screen went black. "Battle stations," Captain Carter shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." The horizon rocked violently as the first blast hit. Alarms blared through the ship. "Shields at 40%. Susan yelled over the noise. "Their weapons are like nothing I've ever seen." Lisa Harding worked frantically at her station. "I'm sending a warning back to Earth. They need to know what we found." Another blast hit, stronger than the first. People fell from their seats as the ship tilted. "Shield failure," Susan called out. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Admiral Freeman grabbed the nearest console to steady himself. "Captain, prepare the escape pods." "Sir," Eric Johnson said, "standard pods won't outrun their ships." "The stealth pod," Freeman decided. "The prototype in Bay 7. Carter, you take Miller and Johnson. Get back to Earth. They need to know everything." "Admiral, you need to come with us," Carter insisted. Another blast rocked the ship, and part of the ceiling collapsed. "That's an order, Captain," Freeman said firmly. "Someone needs to buy you time." As the 3 officers reluctantly left the bridge, Lisa Harding sent the final transmission. "Message away, sir. Earth knows we've been attacked." Freeman nodded. "Good work, Harding." Together, they watched the screen as the Salaxian ships moved into position to finish the job. "You know," Freeman said quietly, "I always wanted to make history." Lisa managed a small smile. "We definitely did that, sir." The horizon exploded in a bright flash that briefly outshone the stars. But by then, A small, nearly invisible pod was already speeding away, carrying 3 survivors, and a warning that would change humanity's future forever. The stealth pod drifted through space, its systems running on minimal power. Inside, Captain William Carter watched the stars through a small viewport. Susan Miller worked on the damaged communications array, while Eric Johnson checked their remaining supplies. "Any luck with the comms?" Carter asked. Susan shook her head. "The Selection weapons fried most of our systems. We can receive, but not send. We're 8 months from the nearest Earth outpost at our current speed," Eric said. "And we have about 2 months of life support." Carter closed his eyes. Admiral Freeman and the others had died so they could bring morning to Earth, but it seemed their sacrifice might be in vain. A sudden beeping from the sensor panel caught their attention. Eric moved quickly to check it. "Small vessel approaching," he reported. "Not Selaxian design." The 3 humans tensed as their pod was engulfed in a soft blue light. They felt a gentle pull as the strange ship drew them in. When the airlock opened, they found themselves facing aliens with pale blue skin and large, thoughtful eyes. They stood on 2 legs but had 4 arms each. "We are Veldari," one said in a voice that sounded like flowing water. "We watched what the Selaxians did to your ship. You are not safe here." Back on Earth, the message from the ECS Horizon arrived. In the United Earth Defense Headquarters, generals and admirals sat in stunned silence as they listened to Lisa Harding's final transmission. "This changes everything," General Howard Benson said finally. Admiral Patricia Edwards stood up. At 63, she was the most experienced officer in the room. Her gray hair was cut short, and her eyes held a fierce determination. "We need to prepare," she said. "If these Calaxians decide to follow the trail back to Earth, we must be ready." The United Earth Defense Council was formed that day. Every nation pooled their resources and knowledge. The threat from the stars had finally united humanity. In a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, scientist Alan Wright stared at his computer screen. For weeks, he had studied the fragments of alien technology recovered from previous unmanned probes. The attack on the horizon gave his work new urgency. "I think I've got something," he told his team. "Look at this energy pattern. It's unlike anything we've created, but I believe we can replicate it." Admiral Edwards visited the facility regularly. "How soon can we implement this into our ships?" she asked Wright one day. 6 months for the first prototype," he answered. "A year to outfit a small fleet." "We might not have a year," she replied. "Make it happen faster." Meanwhile, in a distant part of the galaxy, the 3 survivors from the horizon learned about the Selaxian Empire from the Veldari. They discovered that many species had been conquered and forced to serve the Empire. "The Selaxians believe they are superior to all other life," explained Neri, their Veldari host. "They've ruled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. Susan looked at her companions. "We need to get back to Earth. Warn them properly." "We can help," Neri said, "but it will be dangerous. The Selaxians have already sent scouts toward your home system." Carter's face hardened. "Then we have no time to lose." On Earth, construction began in the asteroid belt, far from prying eyes. New ships with enhanced weapons and shields took shape. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Peterson, a brilliant tactical officer, developed new battle strategies based on the limited information they had on Selaxian technology. "Hit and run," he explained to Admiral Edwards. "We can't match their firepower yet, but we can be smarter and more agile." The Admiral nodded. "Operation Vengeance is now our top priority. Every resource, every mind, every second counts." As Earth prepared in secret, no one in the galaxy, not even the mighty Selaxian Empire, could have predicted what was coming. In the shadow of humanity's greatest threat, its greatest strength was emerging. The stars shone bright against the endless black of space as the ECS horizon cut through the void. The ship was humanity's pride, the first vessel built specifically for deep space diplomacy. Inside the command center, Admiral Jack Freeman stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main screen with calm eyes that had seen 57 years of life. "We're approaching the coordinates, sir," said Lisa Harding, her fingers dancing across the communications console. At 32, she was the youngest senior officer on the bridge, but her skills with alien language patterns were unmatched. Captain William Carter nodded. "Slow to half speed. Let's not look too eager." The year was 2157. Humanity had spread to Mars and Europa, but had never met intelligent alien life. That was about to change. "Sir, I'm picking up a signal," Lisa said, her eyes widening. It's huge. Multiple vessels approaching." The bridge grew quiet. Engineer Susan Miller looked up from her station, pushing her red hair from her face. "Their energy readings are off the charts." The main screen flickered to life, showing a massive fleet of ships. They were unlike anything humans had designed, smooth and curved like liquid metal, glowing with purple energy. "Open communication channels," Admiral Freeman ordered. The alien face that appeared on the screen sent a chill through the crew. It had purple skin, 6 yellow eyes, and no visible mouth. Yet somehow, when it spoke, the words translated through the ship's systems. "I am Emperor Zorlth of the Salaxian Empire. You have entered our territory." Admiral Freeman stepped forward. "We come in peace. I am Admiral Jack Freeman of Earth. We seek friendship and knowledge." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Earth. We have no record of this world. We are new to deep space travel," Freeman explained. "Our civilization." "Primitive then," Zorlth interrupted. "And yet you dare to approach the heart of the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known." Tactical Officer Eric Johnson whispered to the Admiral, "Sir, they're scanning our weapons systems." Freeman frowned. "Emperor Zorlth, we have no hostile intentions. We merely—" Silence. The Emperor's voice was cold. "Your ship's technology is primitive. Your weapons are laughable. You are nothing." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. This was not how they had imagined first contact. "Emperor," Freeman tried again, "surely we can. I will show my commanders how we deal with lesser species who do not know their place." Zorlth turned to someone off-screen. "Destroy their vessel. Make it quick. I have more important matters to attend to." The screen went black. "Battle stations," Captain Carter shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." The horizon rocked violently as the first blast hit. Alarms blared through the ship. "Shields at 40%. Susan yelled over the noise. "Their weapons are like nothing I've ever seen." Lisa Harding worked frantically at her station. "I'm sending a warning back to Earth. They need to know what we've found." Another blast hit, stronger than the first. People fell from their seats as the ship tilted. "Shield failure." Susan called out. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 5. Admiral Freeman grabbed the nearest console to steady himself. "Captain, prepare the escape pods." "Sir," Eric Johnson said, "standard pods won't outrun their ships." "The stealth pod," Freeman decided. "The prototype in Bay 7. Carter, you take Miller and Johnson. Get back to Earth. They need to know everything." "Admiral, you need to come with us," Carter insisted. Another blast rocked the ship, and part of the ceiling collapsed. "That's an order, Captain," Freeman said firmly. "Someone needs to buy you time." As the 3 officers reluctantly left the bridge, Lisa Harding sent the final transmission. "Message away, sir. Earth knows we've been attacked." Freeman nodded. "Good work, Harding." Together, they watched the screen as the Salaxian ships moved into position to finish the job. "You know," Freeman said quietly, "I always wanted to make history." Lisa managed a small smile. "We definitely did that, sir." The horizon exploded in a bright flash that briefly outshone the stars. But by then, a small, nearly invisible pod was already speeding away, carrying 3 survivors and a warning that would change humanity's future forever. The day Earth had prepared for finally arrived. Admiral Patricia Edwards stood on the bridge of the ECS Retribution, watching as hundreds of ships gathered around her. The fleet stretched as far as the eye could see. Over 300 warships built in secret over the past 2 years. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said her communications officer. Edwards took a deep breath. "Send the signal. Operation Vengeance begins now." Throughout the fleet, captains received their orders. Earth's Armada began to move as one, leaving the safety of the solar system and heading toward Salaxian space. Captain William Carter commanded the vanguard aboard the ECS Defiant. Susan Miller served as his first officer, while Eric Johnson led the tactical team. Their mission was to strike the first blow against a Galaxian outpost in the Tau City system. "All weapons ready," Johnson reported as they approached the outpost. "Shields at maximum." Carter nodded. "Let's show them what humans can do." The Galaxian outpost was a massive space station protected by 20 defense ships. When human vessels suddenly appeared on their scanners, the Galaxian commander couldn't believe his eyes. "Where did they come from?" he demanded. "How many are there?" "At least 30 ships," his scanner operator replied, voice shaking. "And they're not alone. I'm detecting Kaldar and Meridian vessels with them." The commander quickly sent a distress call to Salaxian High Command, but it was too late. The human fleet opened fire, their weapons cutting through Salaxian shields with shocking ease. Kaldar warriors, eager for revenge, boarded the station while Meridian ships disabled the defense grid. Within hours, the Salaxian outpost was under human control. As the battle ended, Communications Officer Heather Simmons sent a message on all frequencies. Her words reached every planet and ship in the sector. "This is the Earth Alliance. For too long, the Galaxian Empire has terrorized the galaxy. Today that changes. To all worlds suffering under Galaxian rule, your day of freedom has come." Similar messages spread across Galaxian space as Earth's Armada split into smaller attack groups, each targeting key Galaxian positions. Planet after planet received the news, and many began to rise up against their Galaxian overlords. On the Galaxian throne world, Emperor Zorlth was in the middle of a feast when the reports began flooding in. "My Emperor," a messenger gasped, running into the hall. "We've lost contact with the Tau City outpost, and there are reports of attacks in 6 other systems." Zorlth stood so quickly he knocked over his chair. "Impossible. Call the Imperial Council immediately." When the 12 members of the Imperial Council gathered, the news had only gotten worse. "The humans have hundreds of ships," the military commander reported, his voice trembling. "They've split into multiple attack forces, striking simultaneously across our territory." "How could they build such a fleet without our knowledge?" demanded a council member. "They've been planning this for years," another replied. "And they've united the very species we conquered." Emperor Zorlth paced the council chamber. "Where is our fleet? Counterattack immediately." "Our fleet is spread across the Empire," the commander explained. "We never expected to fight a war on so many fronts at once. By the time we can gather our forces, the humans will have taken more territory." For the first time in his long life, fear showed in Zorlth's 6 eyes. "Send everything we have to protect our core worlds. We must hold the center of the Empire." News of the human attack spread quickly through the galaxy. Species that had lived under Galaxian rule for generations watched in amazement as Earth's Armada cut through the supposedly invincible Empire. On planets where the humans liberated Galaxian slave worlds, crowds cheered in the streets. Statues of Emperor Zorlth were torn down. The name Earth was on everyone's lips. By the end of the first day, the humans had destroyed or captured the first major Galaxian military hub. Admiral Edwards received the news with quiet satisfaction. "Send word to all fleets," she ordered. "Advance to Phase 2. Earth's Armada surrounded Salaxos. The planet's once mighty defenses lay in ruins. Major Nickel Warren's team had successfully disabled the planetary shields, allowing Earth ships to target key military installations on the surface. From the bridge of the ECS Retribution, Admiral Edwards watched as the remaining Selaxian ships surrendered one by one. Only the Imperial Palace remained protected by a separate shield system. Emperor Zorlf is hiding in his bunker beneath the palace, reported Susan Miller, now a commander. He still refuses to surrender. Edwards nodded. Prepare a ground assault team. We'll end this today. Inside the Imperial bunker, Zorlf raged at his remaining council members. We cannot surrender to these primitives. We are Selaxians. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. The military commander stepped forward, his uniform torn and dirty from the recent fighting. My emperor, we have lost. Our fleet is destroyed. Our armies are defeated. Even our own people are rising against us. Traitors, all of them. Zorlf screamed. No, my emperor, said another council member quietly. It is we who betrayed our honor. We ruled through fear when we could have led through respect. The humans showed us our mistake. Before Zorlf could respond, alarms blared throughout the bunker. Human forces have breached the palace defenses, announced a guard. Zorlf reached for his ceremonial weapon. Then I will die fighting, as a true emperor. But he never got the chance. The doors to the council chamber burst open. Not humans, but his own Imperial Guard entered. Emperor Zorlf, said the guard captain, by order of the new Selaxian Military Council, you are removed from power. Zorlf stared in disbelief as his guards seized him. You cannot do this. I am your emperor. No longer, replied the guard captain. The council has voted. The war ends now. 3 hours later, Admiral Edwards, Ambassador Bennett, and Captain Carter stood in the Grand Imperial Hall as the new Selaxian leadership signed the Treaty of Earth. After 3,000 years, the Selaxian Empire had fallen. In recognition of the crimes committed against Earth and other worlds, read the new Selaxian leader, we surrender unconditionally and agree to release all occupied planets. 1 week later, a great ceremony was held in orbit around Earth. Ships from 100 different species gathered to celebrate the new peace. At the center of it all was a memorial to those who had given their lives, with Admiral Jack Freeman's name at the top. 5 years ago, the Selaxians destroyed the ECS horizon and killed Admiral Freeman. Edwards said in her address to the gathered representatives, they thought they were eliminating a threat. Instead, they created one. She gestured to the assembled fleet. Today we honor those who died so that we could be free. And we create something new, the Galactic Confederation. No longer will any single species rule over others. We will stand together as equals. The applause lasted for several minutes. Many species were experiencing their first taste of freedom in generations. In a quieter moment after the ceremony, William Carter stood with Susan Miller at a viewport, watching Earth below them. They wore matching rings. They had married just days before. What happens now? Susan asked, resting her head on his shoulder. Now we do what humans do best, Carter replied with a smile. We explore. On the bridge of the newly commissioned ECS Unity, Admiral Edwards looked at the star chart showing unexplored regions beyond the former Selaxian territories. Set course for the Andromeda Nebula, she ordered. Let's see what's out there. As Earth's new exploration fleet prepared to depart, Edwards thought about how quickly everything had changed. In just 5 years, humanity had gone from nearly being destroyed to reshaping the galaxy. The Selaxians had made a fatal mistake. They had judged humanity by its technology, not by its spirit. They never understood what they were truly facing. A species that refused to be conquered, that would unite with former enemies, that would risk everything for freedom. They never understood that the most dangerous force in the galaxy wasn't advanced weapons or massive fleets. It was hope. And humanity had given that hope to the stars. Earth's Armada moved steadily towards Selaxos, the imperial capital. 200 ships formed the main attack force, with Admiral Edwards commanding from the ECS Retribution. Captain William Carter's ship, the Defiant, led the vanguard. Meridian stealth vessels scouted ahead. mapping Scilaxian defenses. They gathered everything they have left to protect their homeworld. Carter reported during a holographic meeting with Edwards and other fleet commanders. Over 300 ships, plus orbital defense platforms. Edwards studied the tactical display. For the first time, they outnumber us. This will be our hardest fight yet. The Scilaxians had indeed assembled their elite forces for a desperate defense. Emperor Zorlth, having survived the coup attempt, addressed his fleet commanders from a secure bunker. "You are the finest warriors in the galaxy," he told them. "These humans have caught us by surprise, but their luck ends here. Defend our sacred homeworld at all costs." The Scilaxian ships formed a defensive line around the planet. The largest vessels, each nearly a mile long, formed the core of their defense. Smaller attack ships surrounded them in protective formations. As Earth's fleet approached, Major Nicole Warren prepared her Special Forces team aboard a modified Meridian stealth ship. At 38, she had spent 15 years in Earth's most elite military units. "Our mission is critical," she told her team of 20 humans and 10 Veldari. "While the main fleet engages the Scilaxian defense, we will infiltrate their planetary shield control center. Once inside, we'll disable their shields, allowing our forces to target key surface installations." Her team nodded grimly. They all knew this was likely a one-way mission. The battle began at the edge of the Andromeda Passage, a narrow corridor of stable space leading to the Scilaxian homeworld. Earth ships emerged from faster-than-light travel directly in front of the Scilaxian line. All ships, attack pattern Omega. Admiral Edwards commanded. Focus fire on their flagship. The space between the fleets lit up with energy beams, missiles, and plasma torpedoes. Ships on both sides took heavy damage in the opening minutes. Under cover of the chaos, Major Warren's stealth ship slipped through the battle lines, heading for the planet's surface. The Veldari on her team used their knowledge of Scilaxian technology to mask their approach from the defense grid. Meanwhile, the Kaldar warriors led a direct assault on the largest Scilaxian vessels. Their ships, small but heavily armed, darted between the massive enemy ships, firing at weak points. "The Scilaxians are holding their line," Carter reported as the Defiant rocked from a near miss. "We can't break through." That's when the Veldari revealed their secret weapon. The small blue-skinned aliens had kept one piece of technology hidden even from their human allies until this moment. "Admiral," came a message from the Veldari commander. "We can disable their shield systems, but we must get closer." Edwards gave the order. "All ships provide cover for the Veldari vessels. Get them within range of the Scilaxian command ships." The battle intensified as Earth's fleet pushed forward. Ships were lost on both sides, but the humans and their allies fought with determination, born from years of preparation. On the bridge of the ECS Horizon Aya, Captain Eric Johnson saw a gap open in the Scilaxian line. His ship had taken heavy damage, with shields failing and life support systems critically damaged. "Get all surviving crew to the escape pods," he ordered his first officer. "I'm staying aboard." "Captain, that's suicide," the officer protested. Johnson smiled sadly. "Admiral Freeman gave his life so we could warn Earth. Now it's my turn to make a difference." Before anyone could stop him, Johnson directed his crippled ship straight toward the gap in the Scilaxian defenses. The Horizon Eye accelerated to maximum speed, its damaged engines glowing hot. For Earth, Johnson whispered as his ship crashed through the Scilaxian defensive line, exploding with enough force to create a breach that the rest of the fleet could exploit. Admiral Edwards watched the sacrifice with a heavy heart. All ships advanced through that breach. Don't let Captain Johnson's sacrifice be in vain. As Earth's Armada pushed through, Edwards opened a channel to Emperor Zorlth's bunker. "This is Admiral Patricia Edwards of Earth. Your empire is falling. Surrender now, or face total defeat." Emperor Zorlth sat alone in his private chamber. For the first time in centuries, the eternal lights of the imperial palace had been dimmed. Reports of defeats continued to pour in from across the empire. He had not slept in 3 days. A soft chime announced the arrival of the Imperial Council. The 12 highest-ranking Selaxians entered the room, their usual confidence replaced by fear and uncertainty. "Speak," Zorolf ordered. The military commander stepped forward. "My Emperor, we have lost contact with 12 more worlds. They appear to have risen in rebellion after human forces destroyed our garrisons." "How is this possible?" Zorolf demanded. "Our empire has stood for 3,000 years. The humans have done what no species has ever managed," said the intelligence chief. "They united our enemies. The Veldari provide them with shield technology. The Meridians give them stealth capabilities. The Keldar fight alongside them with a fury we have not seen since we crushed their homeworld." Another council member spoke up. "There is worse news, Emperor. Our faster-than-light communication network has been compromised. The Meridians have somehow disabled key relay stations. Our fleet commanders cannot coordinate their responses." Zorolf slammed his fist on the arm of his throne. "Then send messenger ships. Gather our forces at Salaxus Prime. We will crush these humans with the full might of our fleet." Even as the Emperor spoke, Earth's forces continued their advance. Admiral Scott Vincent led the attack on the Salaxian supply lines, cutting off vital resources from their military bases. "Target their fuel depots first," Vincent ordered from the bridge of the ECS Avenger, then their weapons facilities. His fleet of 60 ships moved with precision, striking and disappearing before Salaxian reinforcements could arrive. The Meridian ships that accompanied them used their stealth technology to slip past Salaxian defenses and plant explosives on key structures. Without central coordination, Salaxian military commanders began making decisions on their own. Some abandoned their posts to protect their home territories. Others launched desperate attacks that wasted ships and lives. On the liberated world of Nelvar, Ambassador Laura Bennett met with representatives from 20 newly freed species. "Earth wants no empire," she told them. "We fight for freedom, yours and ours. Join us, and together we will ensure the Salaxians never enslave another world." One by one, the representatives pledged their support. Some offered ships, others provided fighters or resources. The alliance grew stronger with each passing day. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Peterson's battle strategies proved devastatingly effective. The Salaxians were used to fighting with superior numbers and technology. They had no answer for the quick, coordinated strikes that targeted their weaknesses. "They expect us to fight like them," Peterson explained to his tactical team. "But we fight like humans, adaptable, unpredictable, and relentless." As news of the successful rebellion spread, unrest grew even within the Salaxian core worlds. Species that had been servants and slaves for generations began to whisper of freedom. In his palace, Emperor Zorolf was meeting with his council when a loud explosion shook the building. His guards rushed in. "My Emperor, we must move you to safety," the head guard said urgently. "General Krall has launched a coup attempt. He claims your leadership has failed the Empire." Zorolf's eyes widened in shock. Never in the history of the Empire had a Salaxian general turned against the Emperor. "Crush this traitor," he commanded. "We are trying, my Emperor, but he has the support of the Third Fleet. The palace defenses may not hold." As the guard hurried Zorolf to a secure bunker, he finally understood the true extent of the disaster. Not only was his empire crumbling from outside attacks, but it was now collapsing from within. On the ECS Retribution, Admiral Edwards received reports of the Salaxian civil conflict with satisfaction. "Now is the time," she told her officers. "Set course for Salaxos. It's time to end this war at its source." 6 months after their rescue, Captain William Carter and Susan Miller sat in a small Veldari ship headed for the Meridian system. The blue-skinned Veldari pilot navigated through an asteroid field with ease. "Are you sure they'll help us?" Susan asked, checking the strange weapon the Veldari had given her. "The Meridians hate the Salaxians even more than the Veldari do," Carter replied. "If anyone will join our cause, it's them." The Meridians lived on a planet with 3 moons. Their skin was dark green, and they moved like shadows. Their leader, Shriek, met with the humans in a hidden underground chamber. "You ask much," Shriek said after hearing their request. "The Xalaxians killed half our people when we last fought them. That's why we need to stand together," Carter argued. "Earth is preparing, but we need allies." Susan stepped forward. "The Veldari said your people are masters of stealth technology. That's exactly what we need." Shriek was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "We will join your fight. The Xalaxians have ruled for too long." Meanwhile, Earth's hidden fleet grew. In the asteroid belt, massive ships took shape. Admiral Edwards watched from the command deck of the newly completed ECS Retribution, Earth's most powerful warship. "How many ships can we field?" she asked Commander Ryan Peters. "Almost 50 now," he answered. "Another 30 will be ready in 2 months." "Not enough," Edwards said, frowning. "Not nearly enough." On the other side of the galaxy, Eric Johnson led a small team to the planet Kaldar. The Kaldar were fierce warriors, nearly 7 feet tall with tough gray skin. Once they had been a proud race with a vast military. Now only a few thousand remained after the Xalaxians decimated their homeworld. "Why should we trust humans?" asked Drak, the Kaldar war chief. "No one helped us when the Xalaxians came." "Because we faced the same enemy," Johnson replied. "And we have a plan." After 3 days of talks, the Kaldar agreed to commit their remaining forces to the human cause. With each new ally, hope grew stronger. Back on Earth, Ambassador Laura Bennett addressed representatives from all human colonies and settlements. "Today we formalize the Galactic Liberation Alliance," she announced. Earth, Veldari, Meridian, and Kaldar united against Xalaxian tyranny. In his laboratory, Alan Wright presented his latest breakthrough to Admiral Edwards. "We've managed to integrate Veldari stealth systems with our ships," he explained. "The Xalaxians won't see us coming until it's too late." Edwards nodded, impressed. "What about weapons?" "Based on the data Carter and Miller sent back, we've developed energy beams that should penetrate Xalaxian shields," Wright said. "We're testing them now." On the Xalaxian throne world, Emperor Zorlf listened to reports of minor rebellions on the outer planets. "These are nothing new," he told his council. "Crush them as always." One of his commanders looked nervous. "My Emperor, there are rumors that different species are working together. This has never happened before." Zorlf waved dismissively, "Because they are too primitive to cooperate effectively. This will pass." The Xalaxians detected unusual movements in several sectors, but failed to connect them to any serious threat. Their arrogance blinded them to the storm gathering at the edges of their empire. In a secret meeting on a moon of Jupiter, the leaders of the Alliance gathered to finalize their plans. "The Xalaxians have ruled through fear and division," Carter told them. "They've never faced a united opposition." Susan pointed to a holographic map showing Xalaxian territories. "Their forces are spread too thin, trying to control too much space." Ambassador Bennett nodded. "Then we exploit that weakness." As the meeting concluded, a message arrived from Earth. The ECS Retribution had completed its first test flight, achieving speeds and maneuverability far beyond expectations. Admiral Edwards smiled as she read the report. "Tell Captain Carter and the others that Operation Vengeance is ready to move to Phase 2. The winds of change were blowing through the galaxy. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Xalaxian Empire faced a challenge it wasn't prepared for.